and welcome to my channel, Haylee Marie Vintage. Today is not the planned video, but I'm going to take you through some thrift and vintage finds of like the back half of this year. I do these videos now, I feel like about every 6 months, showing you what I'm bringing into my wardrobe, and this time I thought I would twist it a little bit, and usually I keep my thrifting and my vintage hauls completely separate because I consider them very different types of shopping. So I thought I would bring you through my thought process of why I thrift certain things and why I look for certain things online and why I vintage shop in person in vintage shops and kind of what I'm looking for through all those things, as well as how I think about adding pieces to my wardrobe outside of sewing, because at this point sewing is where I am adding my favorite pieces to my wardrobe. It is where I'm putting most of my money into, is to fabric for me to sew into garments. So I feel like it would be good to talk about like what makes me actually buy a garment versus make one myself. Like I said, this is not the planned video. Typically this video in my year is me showing you everything I sewed off camera for like the last 6 months before I go into my wrap-ups for the end of the year. Transparently, my health has been too bad. I've only been able to sew for camera, so I don't have anything to show you that I sewed off camera. We're getting better slowly but surely. I actually am feeling very optimistic about next year. So let's go ahead and dive into it. My first stack of stuff is stuff I thrifted. So these are, I specifically thrift when I'm at my parents'. They live in a place with a lot of thrift stores that are a lot more affordable than like Goodwill and Value Village / Savers / whatever it's called where you live. Have gotten those two have like really jacked up their prices, but my parents live in Denver and they have a thrift store there called The Ark. I find that they have really good deals on things. They rarely price things above $10, which we can no longer say at Goodwill, or at least the Goodwills where I live. So I find them a great place to thrift, and I also find whoever the demographic is donating has more of the like kind of old, higher quality stuff I like. I still don't see a ton of Shein at the thrift, even though I've heard all about how much Shein, Forever 21, all this fast fashion is in the thrift. I feel like the thrift stores near my parents are not a majority of these fast fashion brands, so I can find higher quality stuff for a good price. Most of what I have from the thrift store, which my general rule is, if I'm going to buy something that's like 80s, 90s, 2000s vintage, I'm only going to buy it from the thrift store or maybe from Poshmark or like an online thrift, which I'll get into what I think about those when I'm building my wardrobe later, because I do have pieces from those. But in this case, I am not going to probably buy any pieces like this at a actual vintage shop or an antique mall or anything like that, because the best price and they are still accessible in thrift stores. So the first thing I got as kind of a style experiment, so I've had one of these sweaters. It's a little short sleeve sweater with a tiny bit of embroidery on the neckline, and I've had one of these sweaters for a pretty long time. I ended up destashing it and I can't quite remember why. I think the fit was a little off. So when I saw this one at the store, it was more in my color palette. So I picked it up and brought it home. And now that I've tried to style it in my wardrobe, I'm having a little bit of a tough time with it. So I don't think it's going to last long in my wardrobe. But one thing that I do when I thrift is I experiment more with my style because they're cheap. It's an ethical way to buy clothing, which I will link a video down below. I recently watched, I think her channel's name is Shelby Biz. She kind of talked about how you can use thrifting to change your consumption habits, starting first by like going more environmentally friendly by shopping secondhand and like overconsumption, and then slowly like tapering it off. And I feel like that's been very true to my journey. So I'll link that down below if you want to like listen to the environmental impacts of clothing, thrifting, and like how to kind of slowly change your mindset over time about things. I'll link that down below. But yeah, I picked this up because I remembered really liking it as a style, and then I have now tried to style it, and now I'm like, oh, maybe this didn't work out in my wardrobe for a reason. So I will probably end up not keeping this very long and will destash it. But the thrift store is great for a way to try something really affordably without participating in fast fashion. This did serve that purpose. Another thing that I often buy at the thrift store or just buy in general is knits. I don't sew knits very often. I'm going to change that next year. I would like to get more into sewing knits, but in general, knits aren't something I sew, so they are something I buy. And I picked up this guy here. I also picked up a brightly colored turtleneck, which is something I would never sew because there's so many in the secondhand market. I liked the polka dots on this, or whatever you want to call them. I thought it really lends itself to my style. And this tag is actually marked a 1X. But I can tell, even though this is cotton, which is weird that it's shrunk so much with its cotton, is tight on me, and I would say I'm firmly a medium. This one I think shrunk down and probably ended up at the thrift store kind of sitting there a while because it was marked a 1X, and it definitely doesn't fit a 1X anymore. And when I wear this, I feel really cute, and I think this will go with a ton of different things in my wardrobe, and it even has the potential to go under overalls really well, or kind of dresses that I like to wear stuff under. This is the type of thing that you might start to see at vintage shops or like at an antique mall. I'm not going to pay that that price for something like this because I know I can find it for like $5 at a thrift store. Next up, we have this really cute black skirt that has this kind of like Western button detail, as well as, you probably can't see it that well because it's dark, but a box pleat in the front. I am not the hugest fan of a box pleat in the front, so I would never sew a skirt like this. I thought it would be a good opportunity to try to re-look at box pleats and see if I still feel the same about them. The skirt was again under $10, and it's kind of like a nice heavier winter long skirt. So I think it's worth giving a shot into my wardrobe. And the other thing that I sometimes like about picking up stuff at the thrift store too is this has a waistband just done in a slightly different way. So I can like kind of go into my closet and find inspiration in this waistband when I'm trying to make clothing that is changes with your body more over time. I'm really investigating my elastic options when it comes to skirts, and I think the way this solves it is great. I think this is just like a good test in my wardrobe and see if I should still be avoiding box pleats at all costs when I make something. So when I'm experimenting with style, I don't experiment most of the time by making something because that's like 6 to 7 hours of my time. So if I can find it, thrift it, and decide how I feel about it before I ever make it, that's my ideal. And then next up, it's going to be a series of wool pants. So I have been working on integrating pants back into my closet for about 2 years now. I am an all skirts all the way person, and I think some of that is most of my experience with pants was with jeans, and I find jeans to be horribly uncomfortable. I don't understand why people like default jeans as being comfy. In general, I don't get why people default pants as being comfortable. I will say hands down, even though I have better pants in my wardrobe than ever, I still think skirts and dresses are way more comfortable. But I also know we all have different experiences in our bodies and different things that are like sensory triggering for them. I think that's like one of the really fun things about clothing or just about life in general is everyone's really different, right? I actually think that it is true for some people that pants are genuinely more comfortable. I don't get it, but I know it's true. But for pants, I was just kind of looking for some stuff with adjustable waist. Again, I think this is too dark of a color for me to show you, but this has little tabs, 2 buttons on the side of the waist, and this tab here that buttons onto it. Hopefully you can see it. And if you yank it, it has elastic in it. So you can tighten this up by like a couple inches or like just like a little bit more tightness potentially. And I think this is a really interesting solve for pants that doesn't require like a whole different type of pattern. Like instead you can just make a pant, especially for me, has more room in the booty, and then you just kind of make a channel that you can thread an elastic through and have these buttons on each end. So I think that's really interesting. I also really like these pants. Comment down below your opinion. I go back and forth by the day on, are these navy or are they purple? So let me know what you think. They're also wool, and the brand is Harvey Bernard by Bernard Holtzman. In case you are in the market for some pants online, you can find a lot of these brands of wool pants for like $10 on like ThredUp and eBay. Of course, you have to pay for shipping. They're wool, they're nice, they're really high quality, and I really like them. And I also picked up these gray wool pants, which I have, I think, pants like this in my wardrobe, but the reason I picked up these guys is specifically they're a cropped length, so they make me feel like George Washington in a non-problematic way. George Washington is kind of problematic, but I like the length, and I'm interested with the idea of playing with fun socks and the length of these pants. So again, thrifting was a great way for me to get to experiment with this style type. So that is why I ended up with these. And so yeah, I'll see kind of how the year where they're warm. And I guess I should note, because you just heard me say how I find skirts more comfortable than pants, I'm still gonna stand by that. But the reason I'm wanting to put more pants in my wardrobe is sometimes I'm either doing activities where pants are more practical from a non-flashing perspective and like not wanting to wear tons of layers, because it's really easy to not flash someone in a skirt, but admittedly pants are even harder to flash someone in. And then one of the big triggers for my body and for my disability is being cold. So I'm trying to figure out more warm options when I'm out at work, when I'm in the office, to stay warm enough that I don't trigger muscle spasms. So I'm dipping my toes into pants. I like playing with like the masculinity, quote unquote, of pants with how feminine I dress otherwise. So I think pants are potentially a really interesting avenue for me style wise. I also picked up these, which I was so excited about. So the brand is Norm Thompson, spelled Thompson. So what these are another adjustable pant. They have like a track and you can make the pants wider or not as wide. I'm right now very intrigued by the idea of adjustable pants. As you can see, these two pairs of pants that I showed you are very adjustable, so I'm seeing if that helps me with how I feel about pants being uncomfortable, because I feel like just as the day goes on, I get more bloated and pants become more uncomfortable. So if I have stuff like this in place, I can potentially ease that discomfort of the waistband as the day goes on. So I'm excited about these. I will say this one of the tracks that these move on is broken, so you just have to be a little careful on how you thread it. It still works and it still operates. It's not quite as easy as if it had not broken, and I can't figure out how to fix it. And I really like these pants. I have worn these pants already and they are super comfortable. So yeah, these are a big win for me. And I looked up the brand Norm Thompson. A lot of their stuff is like wool, viscose, acetate. Acetate's just the lining, the wool, and the viscose is the pant. And what I found is there's a lot of these on the internet, on ThredUp, that have this adjustable, like they don't highlight nowhere on any of the listings that I looked at on Poshmark, on eBay, on any of that do they highlight that these little buckles give you probably, I think you have 8 inches total of adjustability on this pair of pants, which is pretty fucking rad. Sorry, I try not to swear on my channel, but I get really excited about adjustable things like this that people can actually wear a long time, especially people with femme bodies and the way our hormones like affect our weight. I think a pair of pants like this is really exciting. So I have been eyeing some other pairs of this in other colors online, and I will potentially pull the trigger on those if I am finding myself really feeling like that adjustability is making a huge difference for me as I wear this pair. My last pair of pants is just a pair of green pants. These don't really have anything special about them other than I liked the pattern, and the color is a little bit of a risk, quote unquote, for me. I think they're really pretty. I think they're really cute. These ones are definitely polyester though. That's how they have this perma pleat down the front, because all the rest that I got are wool or wool blends. And that is one of the things I do at the thrift store. And the reason I only buy these at the thrift store is because the thrift store my parents are at, these are super accessible. They're usually $6 or less. And I also don't normally buy in this quantity. Usually I maybe buy like 1 pair of pants at a time, but clearly someone who had been to this arc or donated to this arc was my size and my taste in pants, so I went a little ham. And one of the rules when I go thrifting is, would I, especially with pants, because I have to hem pants, I'm fairly short, is will I put in the work to hem these to actually make them work for me? And if the answer is no, I won't buy them, even for $6. And I did. I spent the morning hemming all these pants, cursing my thrifting self for buying so many pairs of pants at once that I had to hem. But I got them all hemmed. I proved that it was worth it enough for me to hem them. But is something else when I'm looking at adding something into my wardrobe that is thrifted, is do I care enough about this item to alter it and mend it? And if the answer is yes, then it comes with me. If the answer is no, it goes. Also at the thrift store, but these I actually look for at the thrift store, online, and at vintage shops. I would have bought these at all 3. This is like a probably 90s, but I bought these really cute denim skirts. They have, you can barely see it probably in this light, the V in the front. I bought this one, which is dark and floor length. They're exactly the weight of denim I like. They're exactly the shape I like. Everything about them was perfect. That I actually got both of the ones at the thrift store that day. I suspect this came from the same person, and it does feel like overkill to get 2 denim skirts that look so similar to each other, but I know these are going to be wardrobe staples for me. All of my denim skirts I have in my wardrobe are my most worn skirts, and I'm not particularly inclined to want to make this type of skirt. I also haven't really found a pattern with the right yoke that I like as much. With these are like more of a trumpet silhouette than a full skirt. So these ended up just being perfect, and then are something I don't have to make to have in my wardrobe. And both of them also have elastic on the back, will help with their size adjustability. And I like the belt loops on the other one. Like these are 2 perfect skirts for me. And yes, they're very much the same. And again, I'm sure they came from the same person, and it's excessive for me to have 2, but these are a style staple for me. And I know I will wear them as long as they fit me. And I actually have a denim skirt that I will retire now, because I found these, because I wasn't retiring that skirt because it's one of my favorites. It's a darker denim and I love wearing it, but now that I have these 2, I'll retire that skirt that is maybe about an inch too tight on me. The other thing I do while thrifting is I look for friends. So this is not for me, although I will say if it was my size, it would be for me. It's this gorgeous blazer with a velvet collar, these beautiful, like, they look like snow-covered mountains with a sparkling sky. I love this blazer. I will say if this blazer fit me, it would be mine. However, it doesn't, but luckily I have really stylish friends. So I picked this up for one of my friends because I have friends who also look for things at the thrift store for me. The exact same friend who I found this jacket for actually found a jacket for me the next day when she was thrifting. And this is not anything stylish by any means. It is a very, as you can hear, plasticky raincoat. It's double-sided. So I could also wear a red raincoat. I am fairly repulsed by the color red, so it will stay on the blue side. But I've been looking for a raincoat exactly like this that is bulky enough for me to wear like really big sweaters and really bulky things under. And still have the protection of a raincoat. So I'm really excited about this one. This is going to replace, I've had a Rains coat. That's the brand for a really long time, and it has gotten a touch too small. So I'm going to rotate that out of my wardrobe and I'll probably sell it. I don't know. I'll have to decide exactly what I'm doing with it, but this is going to get subbed in for that, which is great because I have been on the hunt for a raincoat exactly like that. So the fact that something this waterproof and high quality came along and my friend grabbed it for me is great. Next up is we're going into my online purchases. So when I'm online thrifting, which I consider online thrifting, ThredUp, Poshmark, Mercari, you're already looking at prices well above a thrift shop. Actually, you're going into probably like antique mall and some cheaper vintage shop pricing. So this is when I don't quite want to pay full vintage price for like a curated vintage store, but I am looking for something kind of specific. So one thing that I bought, which you'll have seen the previous week, is I got 2 slip for the dress I just made, the sparkly bedazzled. This is the first one, which you saw in the reveal. This is just a a loft dress. It works great under that dress though, and I think it will work for slip under other things. I like the texture. It fits really well. I think the color is really brilliant. So I picked this up, and when I picked it up, I actually picked up 2 slips because you never really know how things are gonna fit online. And this one is also stunning. I picked up this one. Yes, I will wear it under that dress sometimes. I could probably wear this around in the summer. It would be super stunning. I do need to hem it. The way this just hugs my body is so pretty, and I'm excited to wear it under that dress, but also I think it will become its own piece that I either wear with a turtleneck or I wear it out and about in the summer as is, just as this. Next up, we're moving into, I don't know what to call even this category. This is some of my curated vintage shop categories. At the same time, this is sourced from a lot of different things, and I'll talk about the source for each. This first one I was sent to by I don't even think my subscriber, Serena, had a subscriber who wanted to send her these, and she's like, those aren't my style, but I have this friend, and her subscriber sent it to me. So I am incredibly thankful. I feel incredibly beautiful in these. There are 2 of my favorite pieces now in my wardrobe. They're this like pieced lace Victorian-esque blouse. I'm trying to find the name for you guys because you can find these on eBay if you want. And since I have 2, I feel no need to hoard anymore. So I wanted to share the name with you in case you love this style. The label has 3 women on it, and it's by Susan, Philadelphia. And I adore these blouses. I keep saying these blouses, and I'm only showing you the first one, which is this beautiful green one with all this sparkles and like doily. Like this, if you've seen my work putting together vintage tablecloths, this feels very close to that kind of thing, but it's a little bit different, and it's really beautiful. And I also have a matching pink blouse, again by the same brand. It's absolutely stunning. I feel so beautiful in both of these. I feel regal. I feel amazing in these. So I'm really thankful to have them in my wardrobe. And if they are your style, again, you do see them pop up on eBay occasionally. I'm thankful to the subscriber and to Serena, and these are going to be in my wardrobe until they don't fit because I love them so much. I also had to do quite a bit of restoration work on them. There were a couple holes. They were actually not this color when I got them. This one was the color of this one, and this one was much darker. So I also did a lot of cleaning. I will say, if you're going to have a vintage wardrobe, get ready to get good at laundry against your own will. Next up, I am excited about this one too. So these 2 are from Lucky Vintage, which is a vintage shop near me. It's local to Seattle. I think they have 3 locations and then an online shop. They're where I go to sell my clothes. While they look through their clothes, I browse their store, and both of these items are from 2 different trips there. I bought this one in June when I was there selling clothes, and it's this beautiful rainbow stripe kind of peasant puff sleeve blouse. I wear this constantly. I think just in this video, I think you're going to see this a few times. I wear this blouse all the time. It's become a staple. I actually very much had plans to make a blouse exactly like this. So when I found it at Lucky's for I think like $28, I was like, yes, I will happily pay $28 to not have to source the fabric for this, source the pattern, and sew the thing, which would all cost me more than $28. This has become seriously a very beloved and very worn piece for me, which is what I'm trying to do right now when I buy vintage, when I spend the money, is make sure that what I'm bringing into my wardrobe wardrobe I can like put with a ton of different things and like really have a vision for how it fits in my wardrobe future. And I don't really know how to explain how to start developing that brain. But basically when I go out and I look for items, whether it be thrift or online or whatever, if it's a shirt or a skirt or something that I would be pairing with stuff, I'm very much looking at it and saying, okay, how many different things can I wear this with? And if I can't like really quickly come up with like 3 to 5, it's a no buy for me. Which on that topic, this is another one that's really versatile that I picked up actually at Lucky's just last month when I bought something there. It does technically need a few repairs and I really should do a whole leather cleaning. This is genuine leather, high blue, beautiful genuine leather. I love leather so much. I always am very excited to have more leather in my stash. I think it's one of like the best materials ever. I found this little blue jumper, and this little blue jumper I think was $38. When I bought both of these, I traded in some clothes for that credit. But I love this piece. I've been wearing it. It's a really great style experiment. You're really used to me on this channel wearing really hourglass things, and this is much less hourglassy than what I usually wear. I feel like I'm just really entering being okay more and more with a less emphasized waist. That kind of curve has really defined my style for a long time. And I'm finding myself wanting to try slightly different silhouettes. I know you're probably looking at this and thinking, Haylee, that's still pretty hourglassy, but it's way less hourglassy than what I normally wear. So it's been a fun style experimentation, but I've only owned this for a month and I think I've already worn it like 3 times. It's really easy to style. I really love wearing it and it's like comfortable. I also am finding now, I don't know if it's like the older I'm getting or the more my chronic pain is popping up, my clothes being really comfortable for me is becoming more and more important. So I've been changing kind of some habits lately. I definitely tried on some skirts and pants where I was thrifting and decided not to get them purely because they were just that smidge too tight of what I'm comfortable with anymore. I very much when I was younger was regularly wearing stuff with like -4-inch ease and just letting myself feel like stuffed in it essentially, and now I'm finding I still like negative ease, but we're looking more like at like 2 inches, or potentially using something like a corset to actually increase my, it adds structure to your silhouette and then still leaves enough fullness for me to fit my clothes. So I've been very like, I probably don't look like I've been experimenting a lot, but I have been experimenting a lot at home with my style. And speaking of something that is the opposite of me experimenting, this guy here is a Gunny Sacks. She's gorgeous. I picked this up on Poshmark. Poshmark has become the #1 place I buy Gunny Sacks because you can generally find them $200 or less, which is still a lot of money, but it's less than when you find them at vintage stores. When they're at vintage stores, I feel like they're well over $200. And I don't mind doing like the laundering myself. I already know I'm gonna have to hem it myself. May as well launder it and do the whole work over. Recently in my closet clean out, I got rid of a denim dress and I was fairly devastated. Denim stuff like this is a really core part of my style is what I found, and not having it as an option in my wardrobe, like these are like safe comfort pieces for me, has been just a little bit challenging. So when I saw this one pop up on Poshmark, I bought it and I'm very excited about it. It's super comfy and I feel super pretty in it. That's why I picked that one up. I'm definitely kind of slowing down on the Gunny Sacks I'm bringing into my closet just because I find what I already have, I'm not wearing enough to justify buying more. Oh wait, actually before I do my last item, oh no, I broke it off. I'm gonna have to reglue it. But I did buy a bolo tie with this little tiny coyote on it. It's so cute. I love bolo ties. I've been experimenting more and more with bolo ties in my personal style, and most of my bolo ties are silver. So I thought I would pick up a different one, but yes, I apparently broke the thing off, so I'm just gonna have to super glue that back together. It'll be easy and no problem. Now for the last one. This I'm so excited about. This is a Rain Sisters raincoat. This was my one Black Friday purchase of the year. So Black Friday is really easy to get caught buying things you don't need because of the deals. So my rule for Black Friday is usually in August, maybe even July, I will put together a list of things that I have my eye on for Black Friday. And I'm allowed to buy one when Black Friday rolls around. These are usually higher value items. This coat was $230 something on sale. It is not that price regularly. And when Black Friday rolls around, I look at everything and I choose what I want. And like I said, I've been not happy with my raincoat selection because they don't fit right this year, and having a raincoat that fits me and is like functional is actually really important to me. So that's what I spent my Black Friday money on this year, and I bought this beautiful periwinkle coat. I will say in the future, and just like a heads up, I guess, if you buy from Rain Sisters, which they are actually an ethical brand, they have some of the certifications I look for, the way they talk about their workers, everything like that. I think they're out of Latvia. And the fact that, which I'm about to get into, I couldn't exchange without spending a lot more money. That's actually also a good sign. If you can have easy returns, that's actually often a sign of fast fashion and unethical practices, because they're either just destroying the garment instead of actually taking it back and sending it back out, or they're paying so little for their inventory they also don't care about throwing something away. But I did order this exactly to my measurements, and in retrospect, which I should have known, especially with a raincoat, I wish I ordered one size up, just because you wear clothes under a raincoat. Like, I was kind of working with like my raw sewing measurements, and I should have been working with my measurements when I'm wearing clothes. So it is a size smaller than I would like, but there's nothing I can do about it without spending an extra $100. I'm going to just move forward wearing this coat as long as it fits. Despite the fact that I do wish it had like an extra, God, I wish I had an extra inch in this. I'm still excited to wear it. I still feel really excited about this purchase, and I'm gonna wear the heck out of it this winter. It's also a nice winter weight for, I don't feel like Seattle gets that cold except for on days it doesn't rain. So on days it doesn't rain, I wear a lot heavier coats. But on days that it does rain, I usually just need something that I can put over my clothes so my hair doesn't get wet. Because yes, I am one of those don't get my hair wet girlies. So this will serve the purpose for that. I think dresses will fit beautifully under it. Like I said, I still feel really good about my purchasing decision. I wish I had thought a little bit deeper about sizing and erred on sizing up. But you live and you learn. And also, I buy new clothing, like not thrifted clothing, so rarely that I think I'm a little out of touch with what that's actually like. That is it for this haul. I'm really happy with my purchases. All of these I thought about a lot before I brought them into my wardrobe. In general, even on Poshmark, my rule is I need to sleep on stuff. Like, I won't buy things the day I find it. I need to give it 2 or 3 days, and I really find that helps quench my desire to buy things. So I highly recommend adding that into your practice, because when you buy less stuff, you can buy stuff that's a lot higher quality and actually will have a long lifespan in your wardrobe and won't be just something that you want to cycle out in the next 3 months. Because if you'll notice, all the things I was like, I'm not sure that I love this, it's because I thrifted it. I didn't spend that much money. I couldn't sleep on it overnight. Anything that I slept on overnight, I like really love. Highly recommend. I have a spreadsheet that when I find something online that I really like, I put the name of the thing, the link to the thing, and the date I found the thing. Most of the time, especially if it's like a manufactured thing, it has to be on there a minimum of a month, and I have to still want it. I'm not always proud of my consumption, and I struggle a lot with the way I consume goods and how much goods I consume, but I do feel like I'm heading in the right direction, and it's been years, and it takes years to change those behaviors, and especially with how much we tie like shopping and buying new things to mental health. It takes time to break those habits, and I'm really pleased with where I'm landing on that, and I feel like my momentum going forward. One of my big goals, which I'll talk about in some of my other videos, because this is my last video for the year that's like normal content. I will now just have a wrap-up video and a New Year's video. And one of the things I'm really thinking about next year is my sewing and the consumption that is related to my sewing. I will have some great content up for you guys, so definitely subscribe and stick around if you're new here. And then of course, as always, give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below, like, what are some like shopping rules you have for yourself that you've found to be really successful on cutting back on consumption and really thinking very carefully about what you bring into your wardrobe. As always, I also have a Patreon or a Ko-Fi. You can go over there and support me for a monthly fee, and you get access to my videos at the beginning of the week. But with that, I will see you all at 8 a.m. Pacific time on Friday next week. Toodaloo!